Masechta Bava basra, Daf Kuf Aleph Amid Aleph. We're starting from Kuf Amid Beis from the Mishnah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 lines in the bottom. If one sells up to another person a keva to make a keva on it, he sells him like a place to be able to make a keva on it. And similarly, if one accepts a contract from his friend to make a farm for him, for the whole family, on the land that he already owns, this is now talking about that the buyer owns the land and he's hiring a guy to build it for him. He has to make the inside of each the inside of the place where the kvarim are going to be, this space, like the chutzah, it's not like a chutzah, the opening space where the kvarim on the walls are, so there's a space on the floor. How much does it have to be? Dalid al sheish, 4 amas by 6. And that dalid of 4 by 6 amas of space, they call it the crypt. In Shalosh Mekan, in there, he's going to have over there and has to open and in there he has to open up 6 chambers, 6 openings in where to place the mason. Shalosh Mekan, and he has on the 2 side walls, he's gonna of the which is 6. And the wall facing the open space is 4. So the 2 side walls are 6. So on those 2 side walls, he has 3 chambers, and because it's 6 feet. So each chamber, he says, the kuchin are kanaba amis, and the kuchin, those chambers, the open space, the length of the keva for the body to go in, the body is normally 3 amas. Plus they have the space for the arden itself, so that's why it's 4 amas. And I said, there's altogether 8 openings for you to put the mason. Shalosh Mekan. 3 kvarim, or 3 mason on each side, 3 chambers on each side, on the walls that are 6 feet, and then and 2 on the wall that's facing the chutzah, 2 openings to place mason there, the kuchen, and the slot, the chamber in which they place the aron in. Arkan Abba Amas is 4 amas, 4 amas long, because the body is 3 amas. And plus the aron takes another amma, that's why it's 4 amas beruvan sheva, and the height is 7 tvachim. And he brings down the reason why it's 7 tvachim. Really, it's only the body itself is wide 6 tvachim, and maybe even less with their clothing. So the width is going to be 6 tvachim. Oh, here he's talking about the height. The height, he makes it, even though the height is 6 tvachim also, but here he needs extra tefach to block that. It should be empty space in order to block from the tumah going all the way up. The Rachman Shishan, the width is 6 tvachim, because the body is normally a little bit less than 6 tvachim wide. And it's so that, and why do they make it to 6 tvachim? So it should be easy to put in the mace there. Rabbi Shimon says, he must make the inside of the maida sheish amas al shmoin amas, the inside of the cave where they put in these chambers for the mason in the walls. So the space on the bottom, the open space, is not 6 by 4, rather it's 6 by 8. So you have 2 sides of the walls, which are 8 feet. And here you're able to place not 8 mason, but you're able to place 13 chambers in which to place the mason. On each wall that was 8, Ames, he places 4 chambers, so you have 4 on each side. And in the wall, that faces the entrance. That faces the entrance. That's the smaller wall. That's 6 feet. He places 3. And then he has one from the right of the Pesach and one from the left of the Pesach, meaning that right when you walk into the open space from the chutzah, there's a chutzah. If you look in the picture in the Gemara, you have a chutzah, and the chutzah goes into the maida. The chutzah is 6 by 6, and the chutzah goes into the maida, which is, we said, 6 by 8. So there's 2 right at the entrance going under the chutzah. That's how the Gemara will learn, has the Havamina to say, those are the extra 2, that makes it to 13, 1 on the right and 1 on the left side. And he makes a chutzah going to the open space of the might. How big is the chutzah? 6 by 6. Sufficient enough for the bed of the maize and those that are bearing it. And to this courtyard, you have 2 be'aris off the courtyard. You have 1 on the right, 1 on the left. And the open space where they have all the mason, those according to Rabbi Shimon is 6 by 8. But the chutzah between those 2 crypts is 6 by 6. So we said, and he has to put 2 crypts, one on this side and 1 on the other side. So he says he has 2 crypts which contain, according to Rabbi Shimon, 13 on each side, or according to Tana Kamam, there was altogether 8, but 2. So the Gemara, Rabbi Shimon says, he must open 4 crypts, 1 on each of the courtyard, 4 sides. So he says, Rabbi Shimon says there were 4, not just 2, 1 on each side of the chutzah. The chutzah is here in the middle. He has 1 crypt on this side, 1 on this side, and 1 mizrach, 1 ma'ariv, and safin adarim all around the chutzah. You had a bunch of crypts. So, and Rabbi Shimon says, no, he says, it all depends, according to the nature of the rock, how many chambers you could place. If it was mamish hard rock, then you could even have less than an amma between each kaver. And if it was very soft, then you probably need more than an amma. The Mishnah was talking about, when we spoke about placing crypts, so let's say you had 4 on the right and 4 on the left. So how did it work? It was 8 amas the wall. So you would have between each keva there was 1 amma. So if you had 4, so you have 3 spaces. So you have 4 plus 3, that's 7, and then a half amma on each side, because you didn't make the keva mamash in the corner of the wall. You left a half amma on both sides. So that made up another amma, which made it 8 ammas. These 2 chambers, in which direction did it go, this extra 2? Because we already filled it up. You had 4 on the wall on the right and 4 on the left, if it's 8 amas, and it took up the whole 8 amas, because 4 plus 3 empty space, you need an amma between each one. 4 plus 3 is 7. Plus, he couldn't build it on the corner, so he had a half amma on each side, which made it to 8. Then on the wall that was 6, you placed 3, and you had a amma in between, so you had 2 spaces in between. 3 plus 2 is 5, and you left a half amma on both sides. So where was the other 2? So if you're going to say the other 2 was right by the entrance, that the 2 kfarim went right under the chutzah, in fact, the Gemara, how come this shelo? Then he'd be trampling over those. Whoever's standing in the chutzah is like trampling over the kfarim that's sticking under the chutzah. But so even more so, says the Gemara, Vatnan, we learned in the Mishnah, chutzah, one who stands in the courtyard of the of the they call it, I think, a catacomb. A catacomb, the chutzah, which it goes to the ma'aris of where the kfarim are, is tar. But how could it be tar if two of the kfarim from the crypt is going under the chutzah? He should be tamei. Rabbi Yisrael Chanina said, "David can be naga." He makes them like a door bolt, meaning he digs downward, like you throw a behemoth into a pit. Instead of putting him lying down, he puts him standing up. So therefore, right at the entrance of the chutzah, it didn't go under the chutzah, it went straight down, and that's how we had 13. In fact, how could you say that? Rabbi Yechon said, placing a person standing and not lying, that's the burial of donkeys. How could you do that? According to Rabbi Yechon, is that he made them at the far corners. If you look in the picture of the Gemara, you'll see that he, at the corners, mamash at the corner, he made one on the right corner of the wall, and the left, he made another one. In fact, how could it be? So you're going to have those two kfarim that are on the corners, they're going to be cutting in to the kfarim, to the kfarim that we said there was left over a half amma on the 8-foot wall, after the last cave that was placed in the wall, you left a half amma, and on the wall that's connecting to it, which is 6 feet, you left also from the last cave to the end of the wall a half amma. Now, if you're going to put in that corner over here another cave, it's going to be cutting into the kfarim that are straight. It's going to be cutting into the walls of the other kfarim. It's talking about those corners. He made it deeper. So even though you have a cave here, and he's making the one in the corner, but the one in the corner he's not making it parallel. He's making it deeper. So if he's making it deeper, it's not protruding into the other kvarim. Because if he's not going to say so, we learned according to Rabbi Shimon, he says there was a chatzah and there were 4 ma'aris around it. And each one was 13, so if each one was 13, they would overlap the other ones. It was impossible that it shouldn't overlap. It shouldn't cut into the other ones. The openings, the recesses will surely break into the other kfarim. A little bit mimic. Rather, you have to say each one was at a different level. One was deeper than the other one. Over here we can also say it was deeper. Yeshua said, the 4 crypts, according to Rabbi Shimon David ki charusa, you could say that he didn't make it coming out straight because everything was on the same level. But if he made it straight, taka, they would overlap and they would cut into each other. Rather, he said that he made it on an angle. Instead of saying that they were straight 1 and then 2, he made it on an angle. Not straight, but on an angle. Each kiva was on an angle, so therefore it wasn't a problem. Zog the Gemara, so the Gemara says you can't learn that it was on an angle because it's definitely a mistake. Because called Amsa B'Ribua, every Amma of one side of a square, every square Amma, because you had one wall, if you had 8 Ammas of a wall, and let's say another 8 Ammas like this, and then you want to do an angle, so for every square Amma, on the angle is 1 1/4. If you do 1 1/4 times 8, you come out to around 11.4. So that's that will come out the measurement. And the Gemara is going to explain now. It says, every amma of one side of a square, of one side of a straight wall in the square, is amso trei chumshei bachlasna. Here you have, if you have a square, and then you want to go on an angle, so every amma of the square is 1 1/4 on the angle. So if you times 8 by 1 1/4, you'll have kama havelu chatzerei v'chumsha, 11 1/5. Kuchen kama hava, and how many The slots were there for the mason. Tamanya, 8. Tamanya bechatz srei v'chum shehechem eshkachnu. How is it possible to dig 8 openings in 11 and 1/5 of amas? Because we said for each, if there were 8 kfarim, so for 8 kfarim, we said between each kaver you need an amma. You need a kaver and an amma. So you have 8. You need at least 15 amas, and here you have only 11 and a quarter. So rather we have to say that Yeshua is a mistake. If you want, I can tell you another answer. Like Avshesha said, the explanation in our Mishnah, in another Mishnah, that the way he explained it, Avshesha b'rei Davide benifli, that these openings that we were discussing were miniature ones, dug for stillborns. Here also, it could have been explained that the corner where they made the other extra 2 to make it to 13 on the corners is talking about such crypts that were for little babies, for stillborns. So if it's for stillborns, it's much shorter. So it wouldn't intercede with the other crypts, with the other cavities.